Hello everyone, long time no see. It's been a while since we've done a project together, and we have a project in front of us. You know we have a project in front of us because we've got a box, we've got a beer, we've got our soldering iron solder, and some flush cutters over here off to the side. We're going to be building something and putting something together versus repairing. In fact, well, this is really like a repair because we have to, get rid of the old part and put in this new one that needs to be built. But in this box is a Bally Stern 6-digit display kit. This is from Wolffpac Tech. This is for a pinball machine that I'm working on. I believe it is Stars is the name of the game. And it needs a new display. In fact, it needs two new displays because they've died out, and that's just kind of the way those things go. But we've got a nice replacement in here. However, it is a kit that does need to be put together, but when purchased in this format, it is very reasonably priced. I mean, displays can get very expensive, as you all know, in the pinball world, but when you get to put it together yourself, not only do you have the satisfaction of putting it together, but you get to know all the inner workings and where all the possible fail points are because you soldered them all in. And not to mention, if you're cheap like me, you get to save a few bucks and in return spend some time doing it. But I like doing these types of projects. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. But let's go ahead and take a look what's inside this box from Wolffpac Tech. We've got our orange 6-digit displays here. Yes, I think I said that wrong. Orange juice. Anyway, we also have a bag of components. We've got some resistors and some chips and some headers, and it looks like a rubber band, broken rubber band that, the chips fell out of this container, but no big deal. Everything should be okay. We'll put that off to the side. We also have some PCB boards and a piece of foam in here, it looks like. But we've got our one for our display and one for all of the major components. And we also, in this box, have a piece of paper saying Wolffpac Technologies here. This is the Bally Stern 6-digit kit. This is version 3. And you can get their assembly instructions on the interwebs there and just download them. In fact, I've got them up on the computer over here. Creak. And yes, we're using the old Windows XP machine. We're not supposed to tell anybody that. But we've got our directions up here that you can easily go look through on your own. But I also printed them out for convenience. It's about 13 pages and worth having. My personal opinion on directions are that they can always be improved, but these directions will get you through. And I'm hoping by doing this video, it will add to it and help clarify anything that may not have been clear in the instruction. Let me put this stuff kind of aside and we'll clean up our mess, and I'll show you the finished project, that thing. Here is the finished product. I've started to peel off. There is a piece of plastic film covering this and a piece of foam that gets adhered to the front of that to hide all the things. This is how it goes together and when it's all done. The two boards just click in. And we've got our headers here, components, and the boards. I just wanted to show you what the finished product looked like before we get started. Sometimes it's easier to see what things look like before you do them so you know what they're going to be. So let's kind of take a quick look in here, maybe focusing, stuff like that. Yep. And just how everything is oriented. And here is the other one, the board here with the resistors. And it's not too bad of a job. We're going to go ahead and do everything now. So before we get started, yes, we're at a new workbench. I found this awesome steel desk with classic wood-grained vinyl on top on the Facebook Marketplace land for free. So I got it to make myself a little workbench next to my actual computer and put another old computer on it because why the heck not? But anyway, we'll get into that at some other point. But here, let's go ahead and take out the bag of PCBs. Here is our display board PCB, and it tells us it's revision 3, so we know. And that's pretty much it. Everything's labeled. All the displays are labeled. All the jumpers are labeled. All the resistors are labeled. So that should be nice and easy. Let's go ahead, put that off to the side. We've got our piece of foam. As you can see, it's cut and has an adhesive back, and according to the directions, is super sticky. I can't speak to that yet. I'll do that probably later. And here is the main board here that we'll be doing a lot of work on. It's actually not too bad. In fact, I think the hardest part is getting all the pins for the chips lined up and getting them in the holes. Insert office space joke here. So we're going to go ahead and start here. We'll start with the beginning of our directions. So we'll put that here and I'll get started. This is what the printed out directions look like. Like I said, 13 pages, gives you some warnings and tools and stuff. Gives you a nice parts list. If you print it off in color, it actually helps you out. I didn't. I figured I'd have it up on the computer screen anyway. The one thing to note, just kind of be aware of when you get to it, is to just check your resistor value table to make sure you've got the correct resistors for your color that you chose. They use either 150 ohm or 100 ohm resistors depending on the color. And it's just, you know, you're using 150 ohm all the time unless it's either blue or white. And they indicate, you know, the markings that you're going to see on the resistors. I tell you where to start. We're going to be starting with our control board, the larger of the two boards first. And I went through and I underlined all the important stuff. And as always, you probably know this now from all my videos, please watch the notch on the chips. That just helps you make sure that everything's going in the correct direction. And they just tell you, they tell you which chips to put where, and you're just going to put them in the holes and solder them in place. And you've got the display board, which you'll put all your displays onto, your right angle headers and your resistors, and you're ready to go. I'm going to follow it in order just so you have a place to go, and we'll go from there. And then just give you final assembly and some pictures in here. I do wish they had a couple extra pictures just on, you know, what a finished board may look like and the orientation of a few things, etc. So anyway, that's it. Just now we've got a, you know, a list of all the stuff and even schematics on here should you break it, which you might, because, you know, that's what we like to do. And that's that. We'll go ahead and flip to step 1 here. I'm going to put that off to the side. And before we go crazy, let's go ahead and empty our bag of components and organize it all. I don't need the displays right now. I'll put those off to the side. So here we go. We've got stuff. We've got resistors. I'm going to put all the resistors together. Diodes. Or chip. All right, our resistors are together. Our header pins are together. Notice that one of the header pins does have a pin already missing here. So let me show you that. Zoom. There you go. Focus. All that nonsense. All right, so this one does have a pin missing. The other one does not. We've got a broken rubber band. We can, you know, tie that and then fling it at our siblings if we'd like. We've got a couple of right angle header pins here. Let's see if we can focus. Maybe. Focus. Focus. There we go. Right angle header pins. We have some female header pins, and female because they've got the holes in them. This allows us to connect the two boards together. We've got some chips that are labeled with small print that we can't see unless we get our magnifying glass out. Put those off to the side. And we've got 2 capacitors here as well. Maybe you see them. They're here. They look like boogers. There we go. Booger caps. Those are there. Put those off to the side. And 2 diodes here with black markings up at the top. That's important to know where the black markings are. That helps you keep everything oriented for when you're putting your diodes in. Direction does matter for the diodes, and it does matter for the chips in this case, and usually it matters for capacitors, but for this project, those do not matter for direction. All right, we've got things. We're going to go ahead and start by putting some chips in. Here's the first chip that we're going to put in. I'd read it to you, but it's really teeny tiny, and my face would get in the way of the camera. But this is CD4543, and this is going into the U1 location on the board. This is our U1 location right here next to C1, capacitor 1. We want to make sure that we do acknowledge the direction of the notch, which you can see is on my left-hand side and indicated also by the left-hand side here. And then we're just going to go ahead and we're going to try to put it in the hole. Now, I'll tell you, it doesn't line up perfectly because the legs usually need to be bent. Now, if you're going to put in sockets, this would be the time to put in sockets. But for this project, I'm not going to. You just want to try to line up all the pins the best you can. And I'll try to do this on camera. Honestly, this is where I spent most of my time, is just trying to line up all the pins, and maybe you want to bend them in ever so slightly to make your life a little bit easier. Maybe it'll work, maybe you'll make it worse. Usually I make it worse. But you just got to get them in, and once they're in, this chip will probably just stay right in place. You can get them in. I kind of like to feed. You know, my hands get in the way when I do this. And now you're going to listen to me ramble today. We're just going to talk about your life and about different things and how these pins won't get in the dark. There we go. There we go. The pins are in the hole. That's what we're going to talk about. The pins getting in the hole. Perfect. They're in the hole. And at this point, you can either move on to the next one because it's not coming out. There's enough tension there to keep it that way. Then we can move on to U2, perhaps. U2. Let's see. U2 is the TBD 62 2003, and that is this chip in the palm of my hand that you probably can't see unless you like zoom in. There we go, good enough. All right, we're gonna put that in, and that goes into U2. So U2 is located up here. Let's see if we can figure out how to manage that in. If I recall, one of these chips practically wanted to fall out. Maybe it's this one. No, I don't think it's this one. You know, you gotta manage like 8 legs at once. On this 16-pin chip here. Gosh, like I said, this is the worst of all the stuff that you're going to do with this project. This is the worst. And the nice thing is, you get it out of the way first. This is like the first things you do. So it's all downhill from here. And, you know, it's nice watching someone else struggle. All right, there we go. We got it. Of course, now it feels like it's going to fall out. But will it fall out? No, but it's not tight. I'll tell you that much. All right. Do you see that? Popped it right out. Maybe that one will come back out. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and put in... Yep, that one's not staying in. All right, this is our next chip. This is U3, which is... I don't know, can we even read it? It's a chip. It's 74 ACT 541. Yeah, and that's that one. Of course, it's the only other one that's going to fit. Also, you know, mind the dot/notch. Put this one in. Let's see if we can finagle this in here. Of course, I think I'm going to like squeeze these legs together a little bit as evenly as possible. I said evenly. That's not even. We'll get there. All right, there we go. That side's in. You know, I'm sure someone's got a better way to do this, but I'm just a guy who thinks he can do occasional things. I really should probably put sockets in. Probably make them easier to get in, and maybe even be faster. No? Yes? Which leg's not getting in? I'm going to bend the leg here. You can see it. It's starting to bend. Now it looks like a foot. I know, somebody's cringing at home right now. We'll start on the other side. That's the ticket. Probably should have soldered the other ones in so they don't fall out. In my mind, I was like, this is going to go super fast. It's a hard note. Don't break the legs. Come back in a minute. I got it. I had to fight a little bit. Well, I almost got it. We got it, though. Everything's in its place. You really want to be able to move all those legs at once to get it to slide in. I should make a tool. Next time. Okay, moving on. We're going to flip this over. Now I can go ahead and solder all the things. Try to keep this as flat as possible if you don't have a fancy workbench. And then just go ahead and start soldering. Of course, you probably want to be able to see it. The way I like to solder, especially things with lots of legs, is I like to do one leg and do them in opposite corners, like I'm tack welding, to make sure that it's in its proper place. And I'll apply some pressure just to make sure everything is down all the way. I'm going to start with this top one here because that's, I think, the loosest. And let me move this so you can actually see it in the camera. and move my beer out the way. And then it's just a matter of watching the electrical cord get in the way. So go ahead and we'll put a little bit on here. And a little bit on here. Of course I can't see, I'm too far away. And then we'll go and do the same thing on the big long chip. And then the last one here. All right, let's check to make sure everything's there still and oriented in the correct direction. They are. All our chip notches are in the correct direction. All right, let's go ahead and we're going to put some solder on. And I like to do all three chips like this at once. If it's your first time, go ahead and do one at a time and then solder them in. The reason I like to do this is because I can just sit here and solder until it's all done. So that's what I'm going to do, and maybe we'll find some really lousy music to play in the background and, you know, make it go fast, fast, fast. It's solder time. And my light's blinking. Shut that light off. And we did it. We did them all in like 2.5 minutes. Not bad. Next up, it's time for resistor R1. R1 goes over here, and I believe this is the resistor. You're going to want to double check your colors on them to make sure that it works. There's two choices here. It's either 180K or a 200K resistor that goes in that spot when you're doing this. And just double check it, because you do have like one single resistor and then you've got like a pack of a bunch of resistors, and it's usually the single one, but you just want to double check your colors to make sure that it is the correct one. Direction does not matter here. We're going to go ahead and take off the little tabs here that they use when they make them for selling them and stuff. I like to go ahead and just bend right at the base here and bend here at the other base of the resistor so we get a shape like that. Once we have a shape like this, we can go ahead and put it in for resistor R1. It just slides into these holes here. Push it all the way through until it's in its location. And then on the back side, I like to go ahead and just take the two legs and spread them apart like that, so that you get something to hold on to and it doesn't fall out. Then we can solder it in place. There we go. Right there. Right. What? I wound up my solder? Why would I do that? I'm using it. Not unless I hit it with a soldering iron and watch it fall on the floor. Okay. And then you go ahead and you trim off the legs. So just kind of come in with your flush cutters. You don't leave much. You really should get some new ones. The Radio Shack special. Radio Shack's been gone a while now. Could use a new pair. Get these legs out of here too so you don't accidentally put them into something. Alright, we've got our resistor there. Now I believe it's time for the diodes, which they say are optional, but we're going to put them in anyway, just in case this board gets used for something else. It says in the directions that the diodes at D1 and D2, or which are right next to this resistor here that we put in, when used only for the 6-digit display, D1 and D2 are optional. We can skip it, but if you're using it to control a 7-digit display, the D1 and D2 should be installed. But, you know, I highly doubt that this person's ever going to move these to a 7-digit display, but I don't know what a future owner may do, and you know what? It might as well just get done. And if it poses an issue, I can remove them. So I'm going to put them in. When we do these, you can see on the board, and we'll zoom in, zoom, manual zoom. D1 and D2 at the very top have these little bands. That direction is important to note so that it matches up with the black bands on the diode so that they're facing like that. When they're facing like that, we should be good to go. We're going to go ahead and put both of those in just like that in that direction, but we'll take them off the little paper things first. Go ahead and fold these into that U shape as well. We'll do both of them. Now we can insert them into the holes. Yeah, something like that. There we go, D1, D2. Our direction is good. We'll do the other one. I got a lot of solder going through on that resistor. It's okay. Definitely put way too much on though. Let me show you what I mean. Like a little bit of solder coming through my through hole there. It's not a problem. I can probably put the soldering iron to it and it'll clean it up a little bit. A little heavy-handed that time. All right, let's get these diodes into place. Maybe. Fold the legs back. And back. Let's get our legs folded on the back. Go ahead and solder them into place. etc., etc. You're getting the idea of this. Not hard, maybe just a little time consuming. All right, done. Chop off the legs. Direction is good. Yes, direction is good. Get off. All right, there we go. All right, good, good, good. Now it's time for some capacitors, and then it's time to refill our beer because that's gone. So we've got to do C1 and C2. That is the booger capacitors here that we're going to be putting on. 1, 2, and the direction does not matter for these capacitors. Now, I know with a lot of other capacitors that people put on, the direction does matter, but in this case, they do not. So we'll go ahead and throw these in the holes and bend the legs. And we get to solder them in place. That quick. That step's easy. Yep, they're there. Can we see them? Sure, if it focuses. There we go. They're there. All right, go ahead and cut the legs off the back, and then we refill our beer. We earned it. We did a bunch of stuff. Gosh, my thing's magnetic. It's holding them all, which is good, I suppose. So we want to get rid of them. Beer time. Our beer is brought to you by the state that the pinball show was in, Pennsylvania. My friend picked this up for me at Allentown. Pinfest. So I appreciate him doing that for me. We were on the hunt for displays. I think the original price he told me was I could have received 2 original displays for about $100, or you know, I could have gotten these kits for a lot less. I obviously chose the a lot less, but also because by the time I responded to his text, yeah, the original displays were sold. So, yeah, now I get to do this with you folks. We'll put that off to the side. And we'll get back to doing this. The next thing we're going to do after we did these capacitors is we are going to put in these header pins here. These are just the female header pins for here, so let me get those. That's that, and that. Those are the female header pins. We'll zoom in so we can actually see what we're doing. And they're going to get soldered into J2 and J3. Let's go ahead and start doing that. Now, in the directions, what it suggests that you do is that you put it in and you solder in one leg and then take a look at it and make sure the whole plastic housing is flush with the board. It's right up against the board. You want a nice, secure connection because, as we all know from doing this for a long time, headers take a lot of abuse, and movement creates some of that abuse. We want to make sure that we can mitigate that by making sure that's up nice and tight against the board. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and we'll turn this like that, and we'll line it up, and we'll somehow one-handedly hold everything in place. And maybe my light's not flickering anymore. We'll turn on the light so we can see. Ooh, look at that bright white light. All right, that is brighty bright. I'm using a flashlight that needed to charge. I think that's why it started flickering. It's almost too bright. I guess that's better. Nope, that gives the feedback on the camera. We're gonna not do the dim setting. Just turn it. All right, good enough. Go ahead and try to line this up so it's nice and flat. We'll just tack one of these in. You can kind of feel it too when you, yep, just like that. I could feel it by holding this against the table. Now we're going to come around and we're going to check to make sure that that housing, let me see if I can hold it and focus everything. This is the housing we want nice and flush. And if it's not flush, what you can do is put your finger on it, get our soldering iron, maybe. There we go, get our soldering iron. We'll just kind of go ahead and touch that one corner we soldered. Make sure it's nice and flat. You can move it around, and then once that solder cools, you should be in good shape. So go ahead and solder the rest of them on. Of course, I get stuff in the way now. All right, good, good. All right, let's see. It's solder time. All right, then we do the same thing again on the other side. So we'll go ahead and take our header, put it into J3. Yeah, there's J3. J3. You see it? I spend more time waiting for the camera to focus. Look, it focused on the wood grain. There we go. J3, here we go. Put it in the hole. Flip it over, throw some solder on one of the corners, and you can kind of move the whole board around if you've got a nice flat surface you're doing this on to get it lined up. I like to pick an edge one because it's easy to get to. And we'll try that. Everything looks flush. It could be flusher. So I'm going to heat this up a little bit. Push it up against tight. You can feel it move, and then once everything cools off, you're good. We'll go ahead and put the rest of the solder on. maybe. A lot of maybes here. Ramble, ramble. Been watching that TV show Alone, and I was like, oh, those guys talk to themselves on camera too. It's like what I do. I think I spend more time thinking about how they can talk to themselves on camera and create some interesting TV out of nothing. But isn't that what everybody on the YouTubes do? If they're by themselves, they just talk to themselves. Like, there we go. Let's get to really know their inner workings. Oh no. Don't think about my inner workings. I don't think they work too good. All right. Ta-da, we did it. Header pin is installed. Female header pins installed. Next up, and this is important, well, are these headers down here. So with these headers down here, you're going to notice that there is a big white block with an arrow, and the header pins come in two pieces. It's important to note that one is different than the other. One has a pin missing. The missing pin goes right where that white block is. So if you think you're going to line this up wrong and go, ah yes, I'm going to put it just like this, you will notice that that does not fit correctly when you try to put the other side in. This is what took me a minute of just reading the directions to understand. Turn it around. You want the friction fit part. Now this is the friction fit, the friction fit part. You know, the part that you struggle with to get off the connectors sometimes if they're in there really good. Yeah, that's the part. The part that, you know, you lose your fingertips on. That's going to line up with that missing pin right at that hole. Okay? And then you're going to solder that in, and you do the same thing over here, so it looks like this. And so we're going to take the same approach where we'll solder one of the pins in, make sure it's nice and flush, and then go ahead and do the rest. I'm going to do the one with the missing pin first because that's the one that could potentially give us a headache. So that is lined up. It's lined up on the back. Just going to kind of rest it like this. Maybe I'll put this other one underneath it here to like hold it up so that it's kind of level. And we're going to take a pin and solder it on. Pick one of the ones kind of towards the middle, I guess. All right, we did the one. Actually, it looks pretty flush, but I'm going to do this anyway, where I don't touch the pin that you're soldering because that'll make your life bad. But you can go ahead and heat that up. Got to push that pin in a little bit. I think it's coming out. It is coming out. Look at this. It's shorter than the rest. We're just going to push it back in. That happens sometimes. Too far. All right. Heat it up, put it flat. There we go. Now it's flat. All All right, so what can happen, as you saw, if you heat it up too much, it starts to move on you, and that's normal. That happens. Just heat it back up and push it into place. Obviously, don't touch it with your fingers. You can burn yourself. I mean, maybe you like that. Maybe you want to get burnt. No, don't get burnt, because then you have to explain it to somebody. Well, how'd you burn yourself? Well, you see, I'm a nerd, and I was fixing some pinball machines, and I was watching that Tim guy, and he did it, so I figured, you know what, I should do it better than he did, but I burned myself. And yeah, that's not going to go over well with any of your friends or significant others. Come on. I will say, this is easier than doing the cap kit on a monitor. So you've never done a cap kit on a monitor, and you have one of these as your first projects. This is a lot easier. All right, good enough. I like to move it around. Well, try to move it around. Don't touch the metal pins, they're hot. Remember, they're hot. Don't touch them. And then we're gonna go ahead and do the next one. Let's go ahead and drop that in. That goes there. Ooh, those pins are still warm. Solder one of them in the middle. And move it around until it's in the right spot. All right. That's not in the right spot. It's close. So I'm going to not touch the pin that I'm soldering. Push it into place. Let it cool. We should be good. Yeah, now we're better. All right. And back to soldering. Hooray. I don't even know where I'm at anymore. Isn't this exciting? Watching somebody solder. It's almost as fun as watching paint dry. Have you ever watched paint dry? Because I haven't. It's way more exciting to watch solder cool. I think I already did this one. I did. Okay. I think we did it. Did we do it? I think we did. We've done everything on this board. See, that wasn't that bad. We only had to do like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 parts. You can do it. We don't know how many legs, like a ton of legs. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 32, 48, 64, big numbers. Okay, yeah, we're not going to go down that road. But yeah, we did it. All right, that's done. That's still warm. Put it off to the side. We get to move on to the display board now. And because we get to move on, we should have a sip of beer. Here's our display board with a piece of foam that we don't need right now. That's used to cover up all the bits. And we really don't have too much to do here. We're going to be starting with the resistors, and the resistors are going to be going down here. They're going to be R10 through R16, so 10, R10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. But when I put them in, because they're all of the same value, I'm just going to go across and put them in. I'll start with 13 and move my way to 14. I mean, I know that makes sense, but we're going to have other numbers in between. Don't judge. We're going to get there. So we have all of our resistors. They're all the same. You're going to need 7 resistors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 of them here. You get to lose one or break one. I don't think the other one is used, but we'll save it just in case. I'm going to go ahead and break them all off and make them look like the U's like we did earlier, like that. As I mentioned before, please check the color banding on your resistors to make sure that they match the color display you have. I've checked this, we're good. I'm going to go ahead and put in my resistors. A direction does not matter for resistors. You can keep them going the same way if you'd like, or you can mix it and match it and make somebody go crazy if you have that type of personality, either mischievous or somebody who likes things nice and neat and orderly. And remember just to bend your legs on the back and we're good. Let's keep going. I'm going to make all my resistors go the same way. It's going to be more pleasing to the eye, except for that one that I screwed up. I should do one on purpose, backwards. I mean, technically it's not backwards. It's still going to work. You know somebody would go crazy, though. Why did you do that? No, I don't even think I can do it myself. It'll drive me crazy. I want you to do it over here where you guys can see it. We made it all the way to R16. We only have to make it to R14 now. All right, last one. All right, they're all in. Come on, that one should be in more than that. All right, they're all in. They're loose, so we need to solder them. I think they're all going the same way too. Oh, good. I can sleep tonight. All right, solder time. Not too many connections here to solder. That's good. We'll start over here this time. Ooh. I'm getting splashed with solder. That's hot. What kind of solder job is this? Oh, come on. You know what? This light that I turned on is making it worse. The glare is horrible. The angle's not good. Almost done. So anyway, how is everybody out there? Any new projects? Anything that you like to work on? Oh good, we're done. Enough of the small talk. All right. Are they all in there? Yeah, I like to go kind of flick them. Make sure that they're not moving. Check things over. All right, time to cut off all these legs. Come on. Yay. Done. This is a little long. All right. Resistors done. Legs removed. Next up, those female header pins. Wait, no, not female. Male header pins at right angles. Now, when we do these, here they are. These are the ones that have a right angle on them. Can you see it? Maybe. Let's focus. There we go. Nope. Yep. Nope. All right. Yep. You get the idea. All right. They will be pointing down towards the bottom of the board when you put this in. And the 90-degree bend. So if this is where they're going, we're going to be putting them into J4 and J5. So if I go ahead and put this in, we want them to look something like this when we solder them in place. Now I'm going to take the same approach, solder one leg, make sure it's nice and perfectly aligned, because if they're not aligned over time, you're going to cause some stress. You just want it perpendicular to the board. How do I know it's perpendicular? It makes a nice right angle here with that black housing. Okay, is going to be not leaning back, not leaning forward, but nice and level right on the board. Just like that. So we'll go ahead and we'll solder one leg in, get it lined up, and then solder the rest. You know, of course, they fall out as soon as you tip the thing over. Shouldn't do. All right, there we go. Solder one leg in. Maybe. Did my soldering iron shut off? No. Okay, there we go. Alright. That is crooked. See if we can do this. Okay. So I'm going to solder, heat this one up here and rock it until I know it's nice and level, and then we good. Just keep your finger away from the hot pin. I think that, oh, nope, that was not good. There we go. No, that's not good. It's hard to do it on camera. So I'm just gonna rock it. Try not to burn myself. Alright. Oh, no. Yep. No. Alright, good. Takes a second to cool on those pins. Well, that's because I was heating up the wrong one. No, was I heating up the right one? No, I heated up the right one. I thought I was heating up the wrong one for a second. I was looking at the wrong one. Alright. We're good. I think. I'll double check it, but I'm going to go ahead and solder everything in after I check it. Alright. It's good. Go ahead and solder it in and make small talk while we solder away. So yeah, any good projects you folks are working on? I'm going to solder the opposite corner here just so it doesn't move around on me. Anything exciting? I mean, I've got tons of stuff I need to do. I'm backlogged on videos. Busy working. I am working, you know, at the arcade part-time. I enjoy it. It's a nice little sanctuary away from the daily grind. Turn it. Well, let's see what else is going on. I keep missing out on projects. Keep trying to buy them, but I'm too late to them. I'm too slow. Not that I've got any room for them. I've got projects I haven't finished yet. I've got projects I haven't started yet. It's more fun that way. New projects are always more exciting. That looks good. And still good. Okay. So let's, we're going to go ahead and do the same thing with the other one. I'm going to do that off camera because it's boring. And we'll come back and do the displays. Gosh, I just did this without you guys. Man, that went so much faster. Well, I didn't have to explain and ramble on and check things without you. No, I'm just kidding. But it was really faster. Yeah, so we've got this other female, not female, I keep calling it a female. This right angle header pin in. The last ones we did were female, and the other connector side thing, the black ones, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, those are in. All our resistors are in, and now it's time. Yes, it's time for our display assemblies. So this is the, oh, I should probably zoom out so you can actually see stuff. Here are our display assemblies. We'll take a quick sip here because we did a thing. Orange is the color. That looks as close to the original as possible. We've got our displays. Now, we want to make sure that the dots are in the bottom. We want to make sure that the dots are in the bottom right corner towards the J4 and J5 header pins that helps them line up correctly. We're just going to go ahead and take these off. They do have a plastic protective film on them that I will remove when I'm finally getting to that point of installing. So let me kind of pull one of these off. And we've just got the pins there on the back. And we'll go ahead and set those aside. We'll need them all. But same process. You want to make sure that they're nice and flush with the board. Do one pin and then the other. What I did on the last one that worked out really well for me is I did one end and then the other end, and then everything just balanced naturally with all the other ones, and I was able to solder everything in really quickly. We'll see if we can do that again. So there we go. We've got our displays. They go in like that through the holes. They come out the back. It does not matter where you start. Put that in. Have it sit nice and flush. And because they're so big, you can actually just hold the board almost where you need it to and kind of rock it into place so that's nice and flat. Maybe we'll just do that. And then check it. So like if I leave it as is, I can push down on the board. Yep, that's perfect. Push down on the board, we'll hold the board in place. I bet you that thing just holds in right there. Yeah, it does. That's nice and flush. Perfect. To the opposite corner. Hold that in place and boom, we're ready to go. And we'll solder this one in because we know it's good. Very good. One done. Nice and quick. All right, we'll go ahead and we'll put one in on the other side. Oh good, the dot's still in the bottom corner. Sometimes when I do this, I feel like I've turned them upside down by accident, but that's because I'm flipping things over so many times here. All right, flipped over. We're in. See how it's balancing nicely, like everything's flush. It's got nowhere to go. This is good. This is going to save so much time if you're not fighting them. Not like we were with some of the other parts, like those chips that we had to put in. We'll just check it. Yep. Flush, flush, flush. Gosh, it's going to be quicker to do these displays than it will be to do those chips. There we go. And now, I wonder, can I get them all in? And then just like solder everything at once? I mean, these just slide right in. Oh, upside. Look at that. Tim, it's upside down. Come on, man. You're rushing. Yeah, I know. It's late. It's late at night. I mean, it's the summer. It's fine. But there we go. All right. Hold those 4 upside down. Boom. And good. All of them in. Ta-da. Solder, solder, solder. It's solder time. All right. So everybody, how's your day? Having fun? This is good solder practice because it's not like doing a cap kit on a monitor, like an arcade monitor, because those I feel like take forever to do, and you're constantly hunting for the next capacitor to replace, even though you've done the monitor a bunch of times and you know where they are. It's like it disappeared on that one. You're like, I swear it was over here, but it's not. It moved on you, or at least that's what you tell your friends when you're doing a cap kit at their house. Like, I've done this a billion times. I just can't find this one cap. I know it's here somewhere. But man, soldering on these fresh, clean PCBs, man, I tell you, that's the way to go. I would rather somebody give me a blank, easily labeled PCB, and I'd solder everything in that way. I think it'd be quicker. Well, plus you're not removing components, you know. Not like on a monitor. It's been running for 30 or 40 years. You gotta go remove all the bad capacitors. And then put in the new ones and trim all the legs. Like doing these displays and these header pins and these, chips. There's nothing to trim. Now I know with the resistors I had to trim legs, but these I don't. That's probably the time saver right there, is not having to trim legs, not having to remove anything. All right. Oh, that one's junk. Brushed it. Okay, that's better. Just kind of checking everything. As I look at it, we did that real fast. We're good. I think we did it. Are we done? Fix this one over here. And when I fix them, I just kind of heat them up so that some of the extra solder can flow into that leg. All right. Oof, we're good. And they're all going the right direction. We did it. We're done. So now what we do is we peel off all this plastic and put the foam on. This is what it looks like. We take it. We line up our right angle pins with our new ones, and we carefully push it into place. And that's it. We built a display. It didn't take that long. That's pretty good, right? Just gotta figure out how to put the foam on. I gotta peel off all the plastic here. Can I do that? Maybe? Oh man. Should have done this before. 1. 2. Isn't this exciting? Peeling plastic off. So I know if I don't do it when it goes to the customer's house, or if I give this to them to install, they're never gonna do it. They'll be like, oh, there's plastic there? Didn't even know. Two more. Two more. All right, here we go. Last one. Cool. All right, I'm going to pull this out gently. There we go, that was easy. Let's figure out how to put that foam on. All right, next we're going to try to put this foam on. We got to go ahead and pull out all these little inserts here. We don't need them. There we go. And then this lines up something like that, I guess. That's easy. We can do that. All right, let me go ahead and pull the backing off. The directions say it's very aggressive adhesive, so let's see if we can not screw this up. Okay. Don't screw it up. I'm screwing it up. Ooh, that's sticky. If you don't push down, I think you're good. Come on. And like that. Sure. Boom. Ta-da. We did it. Now we're just going to push it down. All right. Very good. That's that. We did it. We're done. Let me put this back on here. Like that. Line up those pins. Yep, that's it. We're done. We did it. That was not bad at all. I would recommend giving this kit a whirl if you'd like to put something together. It was not bad to do. Obviously, give yourself some time if you've got to do 4 of them. But I think that will work very nicely once it's in place. Unfortunately, I will not be able to show this to you all completed and done and working. Let's take my word for it. It's going to work. We've got full faith in Wolffpac Tech. So, and my ability to solder. I will double check everything, obviously, and hopefully go see it. But thanks again for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed my rambling, and stay tuned for more videos someday. Yes, someday they will come out. All right, everybody. Thanks again for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. I always appreciate comments and criticism, constructive criticism, or Tim, you're not doing a very good job. Please stop. You don't know what you're talking about. But I'll just, moderate that comment and not share it with the world. That's fine. But I'll see it, and I won't be able to sleep that night. So that's okay too. Again, like I said, thanks again for watching, and hopefully if you have any questions, you can let me know. But I think this is an easy install, something very easy to do, and that I think the visuals here will hopefully help supplement these instructions. All right, folks, thanks again for watching. Take care.